Today we're going to talk a little bit about patience and protecting our investment. Hello everyone, Semi-Retired Bob here. I talk about the Carnivore Diet, all things related to the Carnivore Diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. Basically what you're watching here is you're watching me walk. 22 months ago I couldn't do this. I could barely stand for more than 2 minutes at a time, and now I'm out here walking every day. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. I'm glad you're here as well. It means a lot to me that you choose to spend just a few moments of your day with me. I'd like to ask everybody's help getting the word out that it's never too late to change your life. I am 60 years old, and I'm doing things I couldn't do when I was 40. So why don't you go ahead and give me a thumbs up, drop down in the comments and say, "Hi, Bob." If you haven't subscribed yet, why don't you consider subscribing? All these things are absolutely free, and they help get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. But let's go ahead and jump right on into this stuff today. First of all, I've talked a lot about vitamin P, having patience. And I've been seeing a lot of so-called influencers out there making videos like, "I tried Carnivore Diet for 2 weeks. My 1-week experiment in the Carnivore Diet." You can't have any kind of real results in a week. Do I think you might feel better in a week or two? Yes, you might. But to get fully fat adapted, I think can take up to 6 months. Now you're going to start to see health improvements much quicker than that. But if you're doing just a short little run, you have no idea. So be patient, take your time, and let it go for at least 30 days. If not 45 or 60 or even 90. And if you're one of these, like Jonathan over at Carnivore Muscle, if you're doing serious workouts, not just out walking like this old truck driver is, but if you're doing serious workouts, you probably will notice some drop off in your performance as your body shifts from sugar to fat. Does that mean that you need the sugar to perform optimally? I don't believe it does. If you go look at Jonathan's channel, he's getting ready for a competition, and he doesn't eat sugar. Look at Dr. Baker, Dr. Chafee. There's a lot of really good examples out there of people that are just jacked on a strictly carnivore diet. So have a little patience and realize that if you're switching from being a sugar burner to a fat burner, it can take a while. That's really all I wanted to say about that. The topic that I really have on mind today is not really, it's sort of associated, because we do spend a lot of money on our meat. Beef is not cheap. And depending on where you are in the world, whether it's beef or lamb or whatever other ruminant you're eating, camel if you're in that part of the world. We spend a lot of money on that. And I was watching a guy last night. Am I a prepper? Maybe a little bit, but I'm more getting ready for off-grid life. But one of my favorite off-grid channels was talking yesterday about the attacks on the American power grid, not computer attacks, actual physical attacks on substations and things. And while I don't think it's a huge concern, it is something to think about. How much meat do you have in your freezer? What would happen to that investment if the electricity went out for 24 or 48 hours? Is your freezer good enough to hold that meat for 2 or 3 or 4 days if the substation that services your area goes down? Even not by malice, but things happen all the time. We're such an electricity dependent society. Everything we do, even, this phone that I'm recording my videos on, the computer that I edit the videos on, the lights in our house. We're used to flipping the switch and they come on. What happens to your meat investment if, for whatever reason, the grid goes down in your area and it takes several days to get back? You could say, well, I've got an electric generator, and that's a good option as long as you have either the gasoline or the diesel stored in your garage to run it for an extended period of time. Because what happens when there's a big snowstorm coming? People that have generators and snow blowers and all that stuff, they run out to the gas station and they stock up on gasoline. Well, what happens if unexpectedly the grid goes down for a bit? Well, gas stations don't have any power to pump the gasoline up out of the ground either. So my solution, I'll show you a quick picture here. I have, the brand is not important. That's just my big portable power station. There's a link in the description if you want that one, but whatever one you decide on. That one's like 2,400 watt hours. And I have 2 smaller ones that are 500 watt hours each. And I have a little 250 that I got on sale way back when. So I have a lot of portable batteries, because I've been planning for being off-grid for quite some time. But what I can tell you is my big one, that right now is about $1,100. Is it cheap? No. But it'll run the freezer that I'm planning on putting in my camper with no input. Oh boy, that one's a little chilly today. It'll run the freezer that goes in my camper for 3.5 to 4 days without any solar input. And it'll run the big freezer in my house, depending on the ambient temperature around it, for 1.5 to 2 days without any solar inputs. Now you go out and buy yourself a couple of solar panels so that you're sticking them outside, running the wires into it. Now all of a sudden you're charging it. Can that little one for basically a little over $1,000 plus the cost of a couple of solar panels. Can that run your whole house? No. But it can keep your freezer running. Or if you just have stuff in the fridge, it can run your refrigerator. Now, a refrigerator takes a little bit more power because in most cases it's bigger, and because of the temperature, they kick on and off more. So they use a little more power. Man, that wind is something else. Maybe I should have put another layer on. But the whole point of this is just be prepared. Do you have to go with my solution of a portable power station and solar panels? No, but it's something to think about. Look at what happened down in Texas last winter when they had that ice storm. Now, granted, if you lose the power because of an ice storm, you just take everything out of your freezer and you throw it outside in the snow. But like this time of year, when it's about 42, 43 degrees out here right now, is that enough to keep your meat frozen? No. So just consider, especially if you're one of these people that goes to Costco or Sam's or your local butcher and you buy, several $100s worth of beef at a time. With the cost of everything these days, I think we have to be prepared, and we have to, just like as carnivores, we're not nearly as reliant on our doctors to tell us what to do or how to get things better. I don't think we should be reliant on the very fragile infrastructure of our electrical grid. And the demands on electricity are just going to go up. Everybody's buying electric cars and electric scooters and electric bikes. Everything we have today runs on electricity. Just spend a few moments today thinking about how are you going to get by for 4 or 5 days if the power grid goes down, or whether, like I said, whether it be by malice or natural disaster or just some overload problem that makes the grid have problems. I think you should probably have some kind of gas-powered or charcoal-powered way to cook your meat. I have a little camp stove that runs off those little butane cans. And I have, I think it's 24 of those little butane cans in storage. Those are not the fuel for those, whether it be the small propane or the small butane cans. Those prices have gone way up too. Perhaps keeping a little chainsaw around the house so you could chop up some tree limbs and burn those, both for heat and cooking. I've gotten way off track here, folks. Just make sure think about your preparedness. What are you going to do if you come home from whatever it is you were out doing? You go to flip the light switch on and nothing happens. And now all of a sudden you realize, I got a half a cow in my freezer that I paid a ton of money for. and it's getting warm. What are you going to do? So just something to think about. I'll have a few more thoughts on patience when we get back up to the house. But for now, let's go ahead and flip the camera around and cue the music. Okay, cut the music. Thank you. Quick side note that has nothing whatsoever to do with carnivore. Y'all will notice I've got on my Ohio State hat today. Quite the game yesterday. Well, first of all, the men's basketball team beat that team up north, which makes me happy. The Ohio State women lost to Iowa in Iowa City. But, wow, if you haven't watched Caitlin Clark play for Iowa women's basketball, you should catch her at least once. In yesterday's game against Ohio State, she broke Pistol Pete's all-time scoring record for the NCAA. And she tied Steph Curry's 3 points made in a season record. So who knows how high her point total will go, because she still has the Big Ten tournament and the big dance to go. So that'll be interesting. But am I saying we should be scared about grid down? No. Just something to think about. The main point of today's video, as far as patience goes, remember, even if you're keto already, if you decide to go carnivore, it's going to take a few weeks for you to adapt. Longer if you're coming from the standard American diet, but even if you're already keto, it's going to take a little bit. And if you're already carnivore and you decide to try the lion diet, which is just ruminant meat, salt, and water, there's going to be an adaptation phase there as well. Anytime you change your diet, even a little bit, it takes a while to feel the effects of that. So just make sure you have some patience. Don't expect it all to happen overnight, because, you know, we didn't get sick overnight. That's what I've got for you today, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.